You know, it's kind of unfair sometimes when you pit a strong character against a universe that is strong, because not every character in that universe is quite as powerful as the challenger. So what if instead we lower the power grade a little bit? Monster Hunter is still the name of the game, but now we're pitting it up against something that it's been compared to a fair number of times. We will be taking the most iconic monster from the universe, the King of the Skies, Rathalos, to see if he could beat all of Jurassic World's monstrous theropod creatures by himself. No help from his mate Rathian, no interruptions from hunters who want to get extra boots or something. We're going to be taking a natural dragon against a group of genetically engineered theme park monsters. Who will our competitors be? We'll be using the normal form of Rathalos, no silver needed, against the Spinosaurus, several individuals of Jurassic Park's T-Rex, Big Edie, Bull, and Roberta, the Indominus Rex, and of course, the Giganotosaurus, the strongest of all of them, along with a bit of assistance from the Indoraptor and the Scorpius Rex. Both of them, to be fair. So, let's see if Rathalos has what it takes to conquer Jurassic World. So, to begin, why Rathalos? Deviljho was brought into popularity again because of dumb channels putting him up against Jurassic Park, as if that's remotely fair. Well, A, Rathalos is much closer in power to the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park, and 2, he has a fierce rivalry with the Tyrannosaur-like Anjanath. Deviljho eats dragons for dinner, so yeah, not exactly the most thematic, even though he looks like a T-Rex. What does Rathalos bring to this fight? He brings large size, impressive physical weaponry, including jaws and claws, the ability to shoot fireballs every now and then, flight, and venomous quills on his tail, and venom produced from his talons. He also has a spiked club tail that he can use as a weapon even while in flight. A pretty terrifying creature to face. One-on-one, I think it's pretty clear that he would win against every Jurassic Park theropod. Even if they were stronger than him, all he has to do is spam Fire Blast from a distance. While strong and fast is the Sky King. Rathalos is one of the world's typical apex predators, consistently hunting large prey like Aptonoth for his daily bread, also not above killing smaller wyverns, such as the various raptorial bird wyverns. Rathalos is also very aggressive to other carnivores, however, taking on other flyers like Astalos, squaring off with the aquatic Lagiacrus, and more than willing to even take on creatures of higher tier power like Gore Magala, a demi-elder dragon capable of causing immense frenzy outbreaks. So clearly Rathalos is no punk. He'll take on any challenge. As for his level of strength, given the fact that he is comparable to Lagiacrus, who can crunch through large stones with at least building level force, and is superior to Barov, which can be killed by Anjanath, who Rathalos bullies, it's pretty consistent that the King of the Skies is at least large building level, arguably city block level, or in other words, producing anywhere from between 1 to 10 tons of TNT at a pretty consistent range. For reference, a single ton of TNT can do this. Now, some may protest because they don't see these effects in the game. Well, you do, that's where these feats come from. Rathalos is also able to fight against numerous other large carnivores that also rank higher than Anjanath in the food chain, so it's pretty consistent that he ranks in this level of strength. Well, how about speed? While not shown to the most consistent degree, Rathalos is at least supersonic in speed. He's consistently shown able to fight with Rathalos, though Rathalos did get the jump on him, who comfortably showed that even when caught off guard, he can battle against Rathalos, who drove him from the clouds into the ground in just a few seconds, putting him well in the supersonic ranges. Rathalos is king of the skies. He ranks above Rathalos. The fact Rathalos had to catch him by surprise kind of tells me everything. So the biggest issue here for our dinosaur friends is Rathalos' speed. If Rathalos was a slowpoke, they actually have a pretty good shot of beating him easily, especially with how many of them there are. So now let's go into a brief overview of how powerful the Jurassic Park dinosaurs are. Buck the T-Rex managed to shatter a bus with enough force to crush through small buildings. The Spinosaurus, who is one of the lower tier large carnivores, smashed through a steel fence with building level force. And of course, the one with the most feats against human structures is the Indominus Rex, crunching through metals, withstanding rockets, guns, and even taking large structures, bashing into her body with seemingly no damage, whether it be 40-foot tall hydraulic gates, or arguably a 50-meter steel tower. Indominus Rex comfortably cements the theropods of the verse as being at least building to large building level. Roberta could throw down with Indominus in a weakened state via having muscle atrophy for several years, and in a healthier, stronger state, she lost to the Giganotosaurus, who also verbatim ranks above the Indominus. Now as for speed, normally these creatures have typical animalistic speeds, running at about 30 miles an hour or so, pretty often. However, sometimes they've shown even greater feats of speed, such as Blue the Velociraptor actually dodging bullets. Arguably an outlier, but I mean, it did happen. And it's also been said in some scenes that Rexy was shown going at like over 60 miles an hour in the original Jurassic Park. So if you really high-end stretch their speed, they might actually be able to compete with a flying Rathalos. On the ground, Rathalos is a good bit slower. However, I'd still say he has a very large speed advantage. Ultimately though, will it be numbers or firepower that wins this fight? Rathalos spawns in, seeing enemies all around. 3 things that look just like Anjanath without the feathers, and some things he doesn't even recognize. Rathalos spreads his wings and roars, a challenge to all these creatures. Come at him, or die. The first to charge in is the Spinosaurus. The Sky King leaps into the air and smacks the dino into the ground with his tail. Seeing what they're up against, the T-Rex, Indom, and Giga all rush in at once. Rathalos flies down and grabs onto Indominus Rex, using his wings to pick her off the ground and throw her into the ground. Struggling briefly to get up, as Rathalos comes down to finish the job, Bull grabs onto his tail. Stopping for just a moment, he turns to then eviscerate the tiny Tyrannosaur. However, lurking eyes in the darkness see their chance, and launch poisonous quills into the side of the Rathalos. However, seeing this target, he shoots a fire blast at it, completely destroying the creature. He blasts fireballs all around, raining hell upon the creatures. Indominus Rex recovers first. Being able to shrug off a rocket launcher, gives you good enough resistance to heat. She slices at Rathalos with her claws, actually dealing some damage. Unfortunately though, she's now in perfect position for Rathalos to jam his venomous talons right into her chest. Indominus claws and bites at him, but he stabs repeatedly, until finally she is dead. Caught off guard by a bite to the neck from the Giganotosaurus, Rathalos is in deep trouble. The wound is deep, and the damage is heavy. The wyvern tries to fly back to escape, but the Giga bites down harder. However, his clubbed tail manages to bash into the Giga, forcing him to release him. He takes to the air and fires numerous fireballs down upon the theropod, knocking him off of his feet. Slowed and weakened, the Tyrannosaurs left attack Rathalos. However, he perfectly knows how to deal with things like them. He leaps onto Big Edie's back and once again picks the dinosaur off the ground before dropping them and blasting a ball of fire, rendering her unconscious. Rathalos and Roberta roar at each other, but ultimately the Queen of Isla Nublar decides to retreat, leaving only Rathalos and the Giganotosaurus. Or so you think, as leaping upon Rathalos from a nearby building is the Indoraptor. Hacking and slashing at the already wounded part of the wyvern, he heads higher into the skies before ultimately dropping down and then stopping himself so the Indoraptor crashes into the ground below. Distracted, Giga rushes at Rathalos once again, but this time the wyvern is ready and leaps up before rushing himself into the Giga's side, jamming his venomous talons into the dinosaur's side. The theropod screeches and turns to bite at Rathalos' wings, tearing a good chunk into them. In pain, Rathalos blasts Giga in the face, forcing him to release as he stabs with his venomous talons over and over again, driving them deeper and dealing critical damage to the dinosaur's organs. As the venom is released, the strongest of the theropods finally slumps over, defeated. Heavily wounded, the Rathalos roars in victory.